What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to dive into a subject that we get questions about all the time, and that is the difference between a wide range humbucker that you would see in a thin line telly from the early 70s. Then there was a reissue made in Mexico guitars and some Squier guitars, and those don't actually have the same pickups in them. We'll get into that. And then a normal humbucker, just like that we normally see all the time. How could we get that wide range sound? Why don't we see it more? All that kind of stuff. And then I'm going to show you something really cool. Before we get into all that, do me a favor, hit the subscribe button and the like button and do all the things you normally do when you watch a YouTube video. There are some links in the description. Those links help out the channel. Most importantly, the DylanTalksTone one, you can scan that. We make pickups for a living, so that's what we do. All right, so let's talk about the wide range humbucker by Fender. Back in the olden days, there was the humbucker, the one that we know in this guitar, right? The PAF. So this was your normal PAF humbucker. And then Seth Lover, who designed this, went over to Fender and wanted to design, Fender wanted a design that would kind of take the whole single coil vibe of Fender and be like, hey, we want a humbucker too. So they're like, it needs to be sort of single coily, but it needs to be a humbucker because we don't want to just be known for single coils. And the wide range humbucker was born. Now there are some principal differences between the humbucker that we know in that guitar and the Fender wide range humbucker. And I'm going to take some parts from a regular humbucker and then I'm going to show you how it's different from a wide range. Okay, so it just so happens that Brianna is sitting here, apparently watching Netflix and assembling some humbuckers. And a normal humbucker is going to have steel screws on one side that go through, and these are not magnetized, right? And then on the other side, you're going to have the steel slug. And that steel slug then is going to sit on top of, sorry to interrupt you, whoops, sorry, pulled it all apart, is going to sit on top of a magnet like this that is then going to sit on top of sort of like that, right? So that magnet is not actually in the coil. It's actually below the coil. It sits below the coil. So a completed one looks like this. Two coils, and then that magnet is actually underneath. I'll get it to focus. Right. Point to that magnet right there, Brianna.
Right there?
Right there, right? Instead of the magnets being in the pickup inside. So this is just non-magnetic, or this is just non-magnetized steel being magnetized from the bottom by that magnet. Now that's different from a single coil pickup, which here's a Strat pickup, where there is no magnet below. It's the fact that those poles are actually the magnets, okay? So that's the difference between a single coil and a humbucker. So now, when we look at the breakdown of a wide range humbucker, basically it was a mix of the two things. What they did was they took the look and construction of a humbucker, right? But instead of using those non-magnet steel pole pieces and slugs, they actually used magnetized screws. These were actually magnets. They were called cuneiform magnets. They were made from copper, nickel and iron, I think, and which is different than an Alnico magnet, and we'll get into why that's important in a minute. And what they would actually do is they would make these, they're the actual magnets, not screws, but they were the actual magnets. They'd be inside the bobbins. They were threaded. They would thread in, and you can see them here. I've got pictures of them I'm showing you. And then there was no magnet underneath, right? The problem is that Alnico magnets are actually stronger than cuneiform magnets. But I think the reason they use cuneiform magnets is because they were easier to machine. Alnico is very difficult to machine. So to try to get this single coil sound, it was like construct a humbucker but make it constructed like a single coil but make it a humbucker. So that's what they did. Those magnets were in the coils. Using that different material though meant that the magnets were weaker than your normal Alnico magnets that you would have in like a Strat or something. So they actually had to physically make the coil larger to get enough inductance for this thing to work, which is interesting because when you look at the amount of voltage that it produces on the norm, like at testing frequency and levels, it's really like 200 millivolts, which is really interesting because this is a little inside baseball, but a normal humbucker will make 400 to 500 millivolts. So it was, even though they were 10K humbuckers, they had to be larger, and because they had these weaker magnets in them to get enough inductance to make this work. The result was very single coily sound though. They actually worked very, very well. I know that there's people yelling in the comments, well, this video is useless without a sound comparison. Well, here's the thing. There's not very many of these things around, and to have an original one from the 70s is actually kind of expensive now if you go look on Reverb. So let's just do like normal people do and listen to music, okay? So you can go listen to Keith Richards, Graham Coxon of Blur, Wes Borland of Limp Bizkit, Rich Robinson, Black Crowes, Ryan Adams, Roy Buchanan, Billy Gibbons for some of you older guys, Johnny Greenwood of Radiohead, who else? Chris Shiflett, Foo Fighters. He uses a couple different ones. He uses a regular humbucker deluxe looking guitar, and then he uses actual wide range pickups, so you kind of have to pick through that. Lee Ronaldo of Sonic Youth used Jazz Masters with these wide range humbuckers in them. So there are out there, they are single coily sounding humbuckers. The problem is that magnet is kind of unobtainium to get for normal people like me to make pickups with. So I was thinking to myself, how could I do something similar? People always ask us about wide range humbuckers, but there's a problem. One is the magnets are kind of unobtainium, and two, the hardware for the wide range is bigger. It doesn't fit in a regular guitar. Like, you can't put it in a regular humbucker, and you can't make a real wide range like a regular humbucker because the size doesn't work. In fact, they're so expensive and hard to find that the reissues from the 1980s or 90s and 2000s and all of the import guitars, the Squiers and stuff, are actually just regular humbuckers in big covers on big bass plates. So they're fake. They're actually just regular humbuckers. We used to rewind them for people and make them better, but it got to be too tough. So I've been working on something. This, my friends, is the new DylanTalksTone Velo humbucker. And if you look at it up close, it is a single coil constructed humbucker that fits in a regular humbucker hole. So we should be very, very clear about this. This is a regular sized humbucker. Regular sized. Does not go in a wide range guitar, does not go in a vintage Fender with those big pickups. This is a regular humbucker. I'm going to say that lots more times because people will inevitably ask me over and over again, this fits a regular humbucker hole. Okay? So, I know that sounds a little annoying, but we have to say it because people are going to ask. So, This was an idea I've had for a very long time, and many years ago I actually made a set of these custom for a guy, and I liked them, but I never really got around to it. And people always ask us about that wide range tone, and I was like, well, how do we get this? So basically what we're doing here is we're taking Alnico magnets because they're way easier to get, and we modified the wind because you don't need as many winds to get what you want to get to this place. With a regular wide range humbucker, like we talked about, there's not enough magnet, so you got to make the coil bigger. Well, we don't have to do that, so we can make it a regular size that fits in a regular guitar, and there are 12 Alnico magnets in this pickup. So there are 6 here and 6 here, which leads me to another thing. On a vintage style, or any actually, wide range humbucker looking thing with the 3 here and the 3 here, there's actually 3 more, but they're just underneath the cover. I don't know what the visual thing was that they decided to do there, but people think that there's only 3 on each side. That's not the case. There's actually 6 on each side. There's actually 6 like a normal humbucker. So we basically took the concept of, let's take 2 little single coils, put them into a humbucker, wire them up like a humbucker, change the wind so that everything works, because if you make it big and do all kinds of crazy stuff, it'll end up not working. Played around with it a bunch and came up with this really nice, really clear 7.8 to 8K humbucker that still has tons of output because it's got a lot of magnet, right? But it retains this clarity. They're loud, but very clear. So I tell you what, let's do this. Because we have the Somnium guitar here, we're gonna do a couple of fun experiments. We've got our Enduro single coil, which is our humbucker size single coil. So let's go against a regular single coil, a real single coil, and this. We'll also put a DAF in here, which is our vintage style PAF, and listen to those back to back so that we can kind of hear how humbuckery and how single coily we're getting. So let's do this. Let's just use this neck pickup position for now, and let's listen to this again. All right, let's put a big single coil in there. This is our Enduro single coil. A little hotter, actually. I think this one might be a little closer. I could probably lower it a little bit, but it's an actual single coil, so it sounds like a single coil. Let's go grab a PAF too. Let's go back to that single coil again. Super fun, right? Tell you what, let's throw that new Velvel humbucker in the bridge position now. I'll tell you what, let's go humbucker, our normal DAF in the bridge position now. See how that obviously has that more conventional mid-range compression, and it crunches totally differently, right? So that's kind of the idea behind that other thing, is lean it more single coil. Super, super fun, man. Super fun. So in an effort to give us something that was more like a 72 thin line deluxe sort of thing, I wanted to come up with this. And I know other people have done them too, so I know it's not the first one to do it in the whole world. It's totally fine, but I think it's super neat. The Alnico 5 magnets, a pretty low wind. I think it's going to be a really versatile pickup because it's not just going to do cleans, but it's going to do that dirty stuff, but different, which is really, really, really fun. I think what's going to be fun, this combo, there's going to be a couple neat combos here that I think I would personally do. One of these in the neck and one of our Widowmaker bridge pickups in a Telecaster. Sick, super sick. The other thing that I might want to do is this in the neck pickup and an Enduro in the bridge pickup, which would be killer. The other thing that would be killer is one of these in either the neck or the bridge with a P90 or a humbucker size P90. Oh man, there'd be so much fun stuff you could do with this pickup. I'm just super stoked about it. I've been working on it for, I would say, it's been in and out of testing over the last 5 or 6 years, and it's something that I finally was like, you know what, we're actually gonna do this because it's super, super fun. I'm really excited about it. Anyway, there you go. Check it out. We'll leave a link to it in the description. Thanks for hanging out at DylanTalksTone. You can go get these right now on the website. Like I said, I'll leave a link to it. They're available in a few different finishes, and we might be able to do some custom stuff in the future as well, if you want. So there you go. Thanks for hanging out. Let me know what you thought in the comments in the description below, and we'll see you in the next video.